Greetings from Las Vegas. I'm Andy Isco with the weekly college and pro football contest update from the major contests here in Las Vegas. Each week, we take a look at the 5 popular handicapping contests sponsored by the Golden Nugget, the Westgate Superbook, and the Circa Sports Race and Sportsbook. We start with the Golden Nugget contest because it's the one contest involved here in Las Vegas that includes both NFL and college football. Sides only, no totals are involved actually in any of these contests. But taking a look at the Golden Nugget contest that involves 7 selections a week by each contestant, can be any combination of NFL, college, or one or the other exclusively. We take a look at the leaderboard each week. And remember, there are about 65, 70 games, sometimes even more to choose from for the contestants. So there's no real purpose in indicating a consensus because the number of selections are spread out. The leader after week 8, 37, 19, and 0 for 37 of a possible 56 points, and that equals 66.1%. A lot of people believe the conventional wisdom that it's easier to have a better percentage in college football than it is in just the NFL, largely because there are more games to choose from in college football. But so far this year, the contestants in the Golden Nugget contests have struggled because usually the leader at this point is well into the 70%. But it's been a tough year in college football for many handicappers, and that's reflected in this combination NFL and college football contest. In fact, of the 153 entries that are in the Golden Nugget Ultimate Football Challenge, only 6 are hitting 60% or better, which results in just 3.9% of the field hitting at that rate. The contest involves a $1,000 entry fee, and the top 20 plus ties share in that prize pool. Now let's turn to our attention to the Westgate Superbook. And they sponsor 2 contests, the Super Contest Classic, the Super Contest Gold. These contests have the same format, 5 selections a week against a constant point spread. The Westgate contest point spreads are revealed Wednesday afternoons at roughly 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Make 5 selections, sides only, against a contest point spread for all the games. Each week, we report on how the top 5 selections go, so that we call that the consensus for the top 5 most popular picks each week, so we can see how the contestants as a field are doing against the point spread, in addition to taking a look at the actual leaderboard. Last week was a very good week for the consensus picks in the Super Contest Gold. 4-1 for a season-to-date record of 21, 18-1, which is 53.8% for the season. So it had been a struggle prior to last week. Looking at the Super Contest Gold selections that made up the consensus last week, the most popular pick, the New York Jets, over the New York Giants. In the contest, that line was 2.5, even though the betting line was in many places closing at 3. We used the contest line of 2.5, and the Jets covered in that overtime win. The other selections that comprise the 4 winning selections, the Dallas Cowboys covering their game against the Los Angeles Rams, the New Orleans Saints covering their game, that was a pick'em against the Indianapolis Colts, and the Carolina Panthers getting their first win of the season outright as 3-point underdogs. The one loser last week amongst the 5 consensus picks, the San Francisco 49ers, who were laying 3.5 to the Cincinnati Bengals. So far for the year, the contest leader after week 8 is 28, 11-1 for 28.5 out of a possible 40 points. That's 71.3%, which is higher than the contest we just reported on that includes college and pro. So the NFL contest doing better this year. Of the 92 entries in the winner-take-all prize pool of $460,000, that this contest covers a $5,000 entry fee, of those 92 entries, 10 are at 60% or better, which is just under 11% of the total field. Looking now at the other contest, which is the long-running contest, dates back to, I believe it was 1988 or 1989 that this contest first took shape. Initially, they had 7 selections, then they introduced the bye weeks in 1991, and the contest has remained the same since then, with the 5 picks against a static point spread using the same lines and the same format as in the just described Super Contest Gold. The consensus for week 8 amongst the regular contest, the classic contest, was a similar 4-1 against the point spread, bringing the Super Contest Classic record for the consensus top 5 picks to 22, 17-1, 56.3% for the field as a whole. The contest, let's go over the top 5 selections. There are some similarities between that and the Super Contest Gold. The number 1 selection, also the New York Jets, laying the contest line of 2.5. That was the most popular selection. It was a winner. The Minnesota Vikings, a pick'em winner in their contest at Green Bay. The Carolina Panthers with that upset win over the Houston Texans, and also the New Orleans Saints as a pick'em in their game against Indianapolis with the 4 winners. And the one loser happened to be the other side of the Carolina Panther game. That game was lined at 3. Panthers covered the +3. The favored Houston Texans provided the only loss amongst the top 5 selections this week, as the Texans obviously did not cover in that loss to Carolina. For the season, the leader after week 8 is 31-8-1 for 31.5 out of a possible 40 points, a shade under 80% winners through almost the first half of the season. The contestants will make a total of 90 picks over the 18 weeks, so we're 1 week short of the halfway point. 78.8% is the winning percentage of the contest leader. There are 1,301 entries in the Super Contest Classic. Again, this carries a $1,000 entry fee. The top 30 plus ties share the main prize pool. There are also, contest also includes 10 in-season mini contests. 144 of the 1,301 contestants are at 60% or better. That's just over 11% of the field. So similar to the size of the field, the percentage of the field that is still at 60% in the gold, but considerably much larger entry base that is concerned with the Super Contest Classic. Now we'll turn to what are the 2 most popular and most heavily played contests, beginning with the Circa Million. This is a contest structured along the lines of the Super Contest by the Westgate. 5 selections a week for each contestant against a static point spread. Now, unlike the Westgate, where their contest lines come out Wednesday afternoons at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, the Circa waits until Thursday morning before releasing their contest lines, and those contest lines are released at roughly 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Similarly, we will chart the results for the top 5 most popular picks, the consensus results for week 8, 3-1-1, which brings the year-to-date, the season-to-date record for the Circa Millions consensus top 5 picks, 19-19-2. So that 3-1-1 week brought the consensus up to 50% for the season. So the Circa Million, which has 5,274 entries, which is basically 4 times the number of entries that the Super Contest has at the Westgate, struggling a little bit more as far as the 5 most popular picks. That being said, the contest has a pair of co-leaders after week 8, one of whom is 29-9-2, the other 28-8-4. Both result in a total of 30 points out of a possible 40. Exactly 75% is leading the Circa Millions contest at almost the halfway point. That'll be after week 9, the halfway point. Of the 5,274 entries, 670, or roughly 12.7%, just under 13% of the field, not that much greater than the other 2 contests from the Westgate, are hitting at 60% or better. And as the weeks go on, we can expect the percentage for the leader as well as the percentage of the field hitting 60% or better to show a steady decline. As the lines get tougher, there are more decisions to be made and more information from which to make those decisions as the season plays out. Again, this contest has a $1,000 entry fee. The top 100 plus ties share the main prize pool, and this contest also includes 4 in-season mini contests. Unlike the Westgate, which did not guarantee the full prize pool, the Circa Millions guarantees an overall prize pool, including the in-season mini contest, of $6 million. They came up short. They needed 6,000 entries. So with just 5,274, there is an overall contest overlay of $726,000. And a lot of the sharp professionals, before deciding whether to enter and which contest to enter, wait until the last few days to see if indeed there will be an overlay. And there has been an overlay the last couple of years in the Circa Million. Finally, we turn to what has become certainly the most widely discussed and debated contest of them all. It's in its 4th season, in the Circa Survivor. The rules of this contest are very simple. The entry fee of $1,000. There are 9,267 entries, and it's a winner take all. There could be ties at the end. There's no tiebreaker, but basically you pick one team a week in the NFL out of the 32 teams. You can only use that team once throughout the season, so you have to plan beginning once the schedule is actually released in mid-May. People start planning for how they would like to see the contest play out. If your selection wins straight up, no points involved here, you advance to the next week. If your selection ties or loses, you are eliminated and your contest season is over. I mentioned there are 9,267 entries that started the season, each putting in $1,000, creating that prize pool winner take all of $9,267,000. Previously eliminated in weeks 1 through 7, 8,030 entries were eliminated. That's 86.7% of the original field eliminated before we even reached the halfway point. Now, that meant that there were 1,237 entries of live into last week, week number 8. And last week was a good week for those who were still participating, as only 36 contestants or 36 entries were eliminated. And that's roughly just under 3% of those 1,237 that comprise the remaining field. Of the teams that were eliminated, the Houston Texans, 19 entries were eliminated. The Chiefs, when they lost their contest to Denver, eliminated 6. 3 contestants each were eliminated when Atlanta and the 49ers lost. Green Bay cost 2 contestants their entries. And surprisingly, as happens to be every week, there were 3 contestants who did not submit entries. They were automatically eliminated. So those advancing to week number 9, 1,201 entries, that's 13% of the original field. Now, what we also like to report, and it's for discussion amongst those still participating, what is the value of each of those remaining entries? Well, we know there's a $9,267,000 prize pool, and there are 1,201 entries. So if everybody continued unbeaten and they all shared in the prize at the end of the season, each entry would receive, and what we call this now, an imputed value of the remaining entry, $7,716. And there may be some people who want to sell some of their remaining entries. I understand. I don't know the number. I believe it's under 10. You are allowed 10 entries, a maximum, into this contest at $1,000 each. Wouldn't be surprised if some of those people, I believe it's under 10, as I mentioned, still have 10 entries alive. They've been perfect every week in every entry. They might start considering selling some of those entries, regaining their original stake, and be basically having a free ride for as long as they remain in the contest. And they still have an opportunity for one or more of those entries that they keep to share in whatever the individual portion of the 9,267,000 prize pool would be. Now, for those of you who would like to get more information, more detailed information, such as standings, follow the consensus each week, and also see how many of the contestants are doing. If you're following some of the ones that have been at the top of the leaderboard, there's a tutorial that we have provided that you can watch, and it actually goes through how you would access the contest information for the websites for each of the 3 properties and the 5 contests involved in this weekly contest update. And you can take a look at the tutorial, and you can access it by clicking on the More link at the information area just below this video. And with that being said, we'll be back next week with an update after week number 9, which will mark the official halfway point of the NFL's 18-week regular season.